Welcome to the Sopwith Triplane Addendum video to go with this latest build of the Sopwith Triplane. As you can see here, we're well into the build, and there's not actually a lot that's different from the previous version of the triplane. I've actually got to this stage, and I've actually realised that one of the little modifications that we've made, it would have been a little bit easier for me to show you earlier in the build. When I say earlier in the build, I'm talking about stage 2, where we actually assemble the fuselage, and it's particularly to do with the turtle deck itself. Now you'll see here there's a little bit of rigging running out from the turtle deck, and this is a new additional piece of rigging. It's actually not essential, so if you didn't want to do it, you don't have to. But there is a piece of rigging on the triplane that runs from behind the cockpit to the wing and back to the front of the fuselage just here, along with the existing rigging that goes from there up through the struts and out to the outer parts of the interplane struts. This little piece of rigging here, essentially, as I said, it runs from that's actually the distance between the front part of this turtle deck part and that point there is 38 millimeters. So you just measure, if you've already got to this stage where you've got the turtle deck on, you measure 38 and then pop a little a mark there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do that. But as I said, if you haven't assembled the aircraft yet, and you've yet to put the turtle deck on, then the easiest method is to actually install this rigging, albeit loose, at the point just before you put the turtle deck on. So that'll still be 38. Well, essentially, you can see it's bang on top of the roundel there. That's quite a good indicator. So how we actually place the rigging securely in that position is there are some extra parts. Now these are on, they're not actually on a free floating piece of plastic like this. They do come from where the undercarriage was. Basically, it's the center part of the plastic there. And you've got P41 and P40. Now the P41s I've already installed. You'll probably see just here on the wing. If I bring it a little bit closer, there is a little lozenge hole in the wing. There's a little single hole as well, which is the original aircraft had. But there's a little lozenge shaped hole as well, and the P41 sits over that. That actually creates, as you can see here, the rigging actually goes through there. It comes up from underneath, just loops over the two holes, and comes back down again. You'll see I've got it the free floating part just here at the moment. If I turn over, you can see where it goes in and out of the wing. So that's where P41 goes. So when you assemble the mid-wing or mid-wings, you can just add P41 over the lozenge hole, so you have access to the two holes to put your rigging through. So that's where P41 goes. P40, you've got quite a few of them. You actually only need 2. I think it's only going to be 2. It might be 4, but we'll see. This part, you see I've already used 1. That's actually sitting inside the fuselage. Let me remove that, and then I'll get my rigging wire, and we need 25 or 250 millimeters, 25 centimeters. So let's just unravel some of that. So 25 there, or thereabouts. Then I'm just going to tie a knot in the end, like so. Pull it nice and tight, nip off the tail, and then I'm going to push it through the hole here. Now obviously it's not going to go of its own accord, so we need to get our rigging tool. Just going to pop that through there. Put the rigging wire and then pull that through, and then I'll straight through to my knot there, so it pulls tight. And now we actually need to insert this into the fuselage in there. So what I'm going to do, firstly, I'm going to indicate with just a bit of wire here where I want the position to be. So there, just push through on the seam. Just going to widen that out a little bit, and then through that with my knife I'm just going to open the seam and create a bit of a slot. Like so. There we go. And then I'm going to push this little lozenge stopper piece into that slot. And that should thread all the way through into the fuselage, and then give it a final push. There we go. And then that's in. So we haven't done any damage to the outside here. We've now got our rigging wire in place. So you can leave it like that if you want until you've got the top wing on, or you can actually thread it through the wing now. Don't forget that these wings are, the mid wings are swept back slightly at the moment, just because of the way that everything sits before you get the top wing on. So they will, see that compared to the lower wings, you can see they're swept back. So they will eventually end up in a position like so. So you've got to make sure to just provide a little bit of slack so that the wing can move into its final position once we've got the top wing on and the rigging in place. So to put the rigging through, we just need to pop our rigging tool through that rearmost hole, then thread our rigging through. Try again. Come on, we can do it. Go. Pull that up through the wing, and then back down again. So we're going to put the rigging tool through from the bottom, pop it through like so, and pull that down. So it's a little bit slack at the moment. This acts as a bit of a cleat really, because the holes are so close together. So the way that I adjust it is I actually use the tip of the blade just to pull the rigging out and give it a little bit of a tug, and then pull it through on the forward part. So I haven't pulled it too tight, so it should allow for the wing to sweep forward that little bit, and obviously it'll tighten the rigging up too. So there we go. That's how we get our rigging point into the fuselage, if you've got this far. If not, then obviously the best thing to do is, using one of these P40 parts, is you thread your rigging through, and then you can attach half of this to the sidewalls of the fuselage on either side. And if you bend these in half lengthways, like so, and get a bit of an angle on them, less than 90, I suppose it's probably around about 60-70 degrees, and then when you put the turtle deck on, they're not going to get in the way of the turtle deck, and then possibly actually help with being a resting or attachment point for it. But the other thing we can do here is just to secure it in place so it doesn't drift, is just add a little bit of CA, or if you use aliphatic, that'll do as well, and that should wick into the fuselage and hold that rigging in place, so it doesn't drift forward, pulling through the foam. So we will be securing this rigging to the front of the aircraft, just here, where the actual rigging points that you'll see on. I've got the other assembly guide open on my desktop at the moment. I'm just having a quick look. So stage 4, stage 5, 6, 7. So forward deck, stage 7, is when the forward deck is being attached. Before you do the attachment of the forward deck, you pop the rigging in place for the wings themselves, and it goes through that in stage 7 on the online manual. But what we'll do before we do that is we'll also pop these in place too. So we'll come to that in a second. A little tip for this build, over and above the instructions, are that this is quite a good stage to actually install the electronics. You can do it at the end, but it's quite a tight space, and getting to the top of it is obviously impossible once you've got the deck on. So it's going to be easier, and I think on this, as much as any, the technique of channeling the power wire for the battery underneath the actual board, and putting the 2 strips of the servo tape on the bottom, and then a further full piece of servo tape on the bottom, is a really good idea in this case. And the position that you want to adopt, the reason I'm not installing it at the moment is my studio that I film this in is at home, and I haven't got any servo tape here, so I can't show you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into the place that it should be, if I can do that. So what I've done is I've popped the receiver antenna up in the air. Let's just let's thread that cord through first, making our lives easier, and putting the receiver in place. So I pop that in there, and the position that you want it, just bring that to camera, is up against the firewall there, so there's plenty of room for the well, when I say plenty of room, there's a few millimeters to plug the motor into the connector there at the front. As you see, on here my power cable's kicking out to the side, but on yours it should come out around about the aerial position if you use that technique that's been done in previous videos. I'll put a link below to the receiver installation, but as I said, now is a really good time to do that. And obviously we then thread the control wires through. Might be an idea to put some little bends in so that it routes nice and neatly through without too much friction. That's always a good idea. Yeah, just get that in place now. Make your life a little bit easier than when the aircraft is fully assembled. So, as per the instructions, the original instructions, stage 7 on the forward deck, I've cut my 600mm length of rigging wire, and I need to grab these two P21 parts here. So let's do that. Okay, so these will actually secure the rigging wire at the front here. I'm just going to mark the center point on this wire, so when we install it, I know that I haven't got too much or too little rigging. Too little is the one we don't want. Let's just grab, excuse my arm. Just mark that. There we go. So this is to sit just there at the front as suggested, and then that's secured into place using our little P21 parts. There's a good illustration in the assembly guide on how that looks. So I'm going to go ahead and put that all together, and then we are going to attach our new rigging to the same spot as well. I'm just going to add a couple of blobs of glue in the general area. Clear the pipes first. And then I'm going to lay the new bit of rigging wire with my center marked just across, so it gets a little bit of the glue on it. Obviously it's not going to stick down straight away because the glue is very wet, but that should get us started. And then I can put our little P parts in place, so we get some glue on those as well. There we go. Now the little semicircle cut out of the larger semicircle is where the rigging is supposed to come out. So we'll just pop that in place so that is the case. Now with regards to the coloration on them, I don't think they had any print on them before, but they do now. So one of them actually sits up, essentially what you'd term upside down. So those two are now in place. So we now have our rigging wire coming out either side, so we can attach that to our wings at a later stage. So we're going to just let the glue dry a little bit, and then we'll come back and attach these parts as well. Right, to secure these into the same area, we're going to use our P40s again. So lucky we did 6. We'll actually only need 4 in total. So we've already used 2, so we'll need 2 here. And we're going to use these to actually create a route for the new rigging. So what I'm going to do is pop the rigging through one of these stopper P40 pieces. Like so. Go. And then I'm going to actually, using tweezers, just pop this plastic piece in place right by the other plastic part. And if it doesn't go in, then it seems to. So there, it's right alongside. In fact, I want to get it a little bit closer, so I'm just going to take that out for a second and just open up a little gap there, avoiding slicing the piece of rigging that we've already put in place. So just sort of creating a little bit of a hole for that, that part to go into. So our little plastic part again, I'm just going to grab that with the tweezers and then just slot that in as close as I can to the other rigging part. So there we go. And then the tail, which should pull through still, I'm just going to take through into the internal compartment and just leave it there for now, and we can pull that tight once we've got the top wing on, etc. So it's just the tail's just sticking out the front there, so when the time comes we can just pull that through. We may have to combat a little bit of glue that may have settled from popping the hatch on there, but it shouldn't be an impossibility to achieve. So so there we go. That's all in place now. Good. Okay. Well, I'm going to do the other side. Actually, before I do that, let me just show you how that's all come together. So you can see there, the little lozenge part, the P40, is just sitting between the 2mm frame and the outer skin there. So very much how it would have done here as well. So and then the tail comes through, and it still can be pulled, and I've just threaded it through there. We will obviously eventually cut it off. It'll no doubt have a longer tail than it would if it was external, but it won't. It shouldn't impact on the operation of the aircraft. And if we cut it close enough, you won't even see it. So there we go. Right, I shall do the exact same on the other side, and then I'll get the turtle deck on. Not the turtle deck, the foredeck. And then the last part of the build that's slightly different is the actual machine gun, and its installation is the same. You just pop it on top of the deck, but yeah, the assembly of it's a little bit different because it's a more sophisticated part now. So we've got the foredeck onto the aircraft. I've also managed to put the electronics in there as well, as you can see. Still not entirely rigged up, but you can see the new rigging that has been suggested on this this new build is in place. It's all nice and taut. Actually, I haven't really sort of tightened it up properly yet, but it's sitting there nicely, as we'd hoped. So right, we can get on with creating the new type machine gun that sits on top there. And to do that, we need we don't need all of these parts, but we need parts from each of these sheets, and also from the straw, the black straw that you've got there, so in the kit. The first part we need is this little oblong piece D12, and you'll see there it is oblong, and it's got a little a little score in it as well, or it's not a score, it goes all the way through, but that's all we need from the 2mm, so I can put that to one side. And from the plastics we actually need P28, well, it's all the 28s, so and 29, so we've got from P28A through to P28G. We've got an F there as well, an E, yeah, so all the way through to G. So let's get those parts out, and we can start the process of putting everything together. During the process of getting these out, I thought it worth pointing out, although I have done on other videos before, if you are finding it difficult to locate where the tags are that are keeping these parts in place, just flip the sheet over, and it all becomes very clear. So there we go. And there was one part, apart from all the plastics that we're getting out here, there was one other part that we are missing. So on another sheet, and that is, where are we? Here we go. So this is on the fuselage sheet, although mine is obviously, I think it's the last part, and that is Z21. So we need that as well. So even more sheets of parts are required for this tiny little detail. That's dead now. I can put that in the bin. So let me carry on cutting these out, and come back when we've got it. We'll start building. Here we've got all our little pieces so far, and flipping them over, but actually they're a lot easier to see with the white plastic side up. Anyhow, this 2mm part forms the sort of internal structure, or the internal bolstering for the, what I guess is the breech and main body of the gun. So what we do is, there are several scores on this particular part. As you can see, we essentially create what, 3 sides of a box. So, or no, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides of a box. So that end part there gets all folded up like so, and then this comes down over it, and this rounded part here just folds down like so, and we put the foam in the middle there. So, and the slot that is cut into this 2mm goes to the top. As you can see, there's a slot cut into the plastic sheet there, so we want that to correspond. So that goes into there, and it all folds up around the 2mm part. like so. There we go. So we need to just glue that all together so that it stays together. And the scores, you can actually sort of overbend them if you like, just to make sure that the parts don't fight against you when you're trying to glue them down to the plastic, to the 2mm, I should say. Right. Let's just get some glue onto all of this. Go. So just pop that in place. Then these little flaps at the end here, they need to go inside of the larger sides that come down, like so. Go. Just make sure everything sits in place there. The only bit that I haven't put glue on is that little tab there. So, oh, it seems to have some glue on it anyway, but I'll just put a little extra so that it has added security. There we go. So there's nothing on the underside because this is up against the deck itself, so you don't get to see that anyhow. And obviously we're always trying to save weight, so anywhere we can. So I'm going to use, I've got a fairly stiff pair of tweezers here that I was just going to put in place like so to hold it all together for now. And just pop that to one side to let it all set. In the meantime, we can set about making our. It's the well, it's not exactly a sight, but it's the bit that sits behind the gun, which provides a bit of padding for the pilot. But this also attaches to the weapon itself, to the back, to the breech. So what I'm going to do, this is, as you can see, this particular part here, I've lost track of part numbers. That was the P28D. To the reverse of that, we're going to add P28E, which is this part here, and it literally just corresponds to the lower shape of that. It's almost like a D shape there. And then you've got these tabs at the sides as well. What we're going to do before we glue those is we're going to bend those over 90 degrees like so. You can see there, that's not 90 degrees yet, but you know what I'm saying, like so. So when the point of attachment comes, they actually go either side of the sort of the caged area and go through the inner loop of the D and sit on the other side like so. So let's just glue all of that together. Go, a little bit of the foam to foam, and then just pop that into place like so. There we go. Make sure it all lines up, and then the top of the D, you can see we have looking for the part number so I can provide you with reference. 28F, P28F, and that just sits on the upper part of the D like so. So we can just glue that into place as well. A bit of shifting, so just make sure it all goes back central. There we go. And then pop that onto there, like so. Good. Right, we'll put that to one side. Let that dry too. Let me just check. The alignment doesn't seem to be absolutely spot on this. It's because I'm doing it on camera, not concentrating on too many things for my poor little brain to cope. So I think I need to take a little bit of material off this. So let's pull it apart before the glue sets and just take a millimetre off. Don't know why that's not fitting, but it will now. There we go. Good. Right. So, well, the glue's pretty much dried on that now. So we're going to take our 1mm foam part, and that just sits on top of the whole lot there. So you've got your little arms coming out the back there, and that's sitting over the top. So we'll pop a little more glue onto there. All the way around the edge. There we go. And pop that on top like so. Now we haven't finished with this just yet, because we do have this white edge all the way around, which we will deal with a sticker, but before we do that, we'll let that just dry off so it doesn't slide around when we're trying to put the sticker on. There we go. And then in the meantime, we've got a few little bits and pieces left, and we might as well make the aero cooling jacket. So we've got this part P28B, which represents sort of the barrel, if you like, and it has got a score down the middle of it. You just fold it together and glue it, obviously. One end's got sort of pointy bits, and the other end is the front part of the gun, the muzzle. Let's just pop some glue on. Now you could, if you wanted to, if it doesn't fold particularly well out of the plastic sheet, then you can obviously increase the scoring by just running a knife down the score itself, and just increasing the depth of the score. So I've got glue on both sides now. I'm just going to let that fall apart, and when the glue's dry, that should, as a contact adhesive, all come together and hold everything. Bring those two sides together. If I can think about glue, it's sticky. Right, so let's make the cooling jacket, which we are going to make from a little piece of this, because the rest of this is going to be used for creating the rotary engine, and we need the sticker pack. sticker pack, you've got S16. So just remove that from its backing. It's just a rectangle of detail, and then select a good end of the straw, one that's nice and straight. If it's not, then just sort of snip it off to make it as straight as you can, and then lay the sticker along the line of the straw itself as accurately as possible, and then just wrap it around like so. There we go. So that's good, and then we want to cut it off where the sticker ends. So I'm just going to use my scalpel, just crush the straw temporarily, retrieve the rest of it because we'll need that, and then I can do a little bit of clear up at the end there. So that is the cooling jacket done. So we can put that to one side for now, and let's see if our glue is dry on the barrel, so to speak. Yeah, so that's all pressed together now, and then over the top of that we actually put our cooling jacket. Now you have a seam on this, and it would be best to just leave that seam to stay at the bottom of the barrel itself. So the barrel sits low on the gun, so at the moment it's sitting there, that'll be the bottom of the gun. What I'm going to do, just put a little bit of glue along the bottom edge, not all the way along because the muzzle sticks out, so I'll just add it there, and then seam up. I shall pop that onto there, letting the muzzle stick out like so. So I'll just let that dry off for now, and then we will use, you see this tiny round piece, this is the P28C, and that's just the end detail that slips over the end of the jacket there, and the little slot allows the muzzle of the representation, the muzzle of the machine gun at the front there. So, but we'll let the glue dry first, or it can get a bit messy. Right, let's see how the main body is doing. So just press all that together finally, that's fine. So what we're going to do now is take our sight stroke protection buffer. I don't know what that part's called. I'm sure somebody knows. And that literally attaches to the rear with those little tabs just sitting where you've got the complete element. So you've got these little cutouts in it, and where the cutout ends is where the end of the breech will sit. So let me just attach it and show you. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a dab of glue on the top and the bottom of the structure that we've created, just at each end, there and there. There we go, and now we just pop those two like so onto and Well, we'll let the glue dry off. One of the underside has taken quite nicely. The top has come loose, so we'll just let that dry off, and we'll use the contact adhesive quality of the foam to foam glue to bring those parts together. While we're waiting for that, we can the machine gun belts. We can actually form up. The simple one, this the exposed carriage. All we need to do is just bend the part so it actually forms a sort of a quarter loop. So this is basically the belt, I believe, coming out of the aircraft once the ammunition has been spent. Then, so we'll just put that to one side, ready for installation. And the other part is a little more complicated. You've got these two little triangular V's at the side here, and they've got scores on them, so they should actually fold down. So, like so. So they've actually folded down now. You can see them there pointing backwards. So we're just going to give them a little more encouragement. And then these two side wings here, once again, should fold down like so. Now, the tongue in the middle there, we should be able to bend slightly, and it should follow the curve that's at the top of these wings. So when we fold it all together, they should, the tips of the wings here and here should come into contact with those little triangles that we folded over, and so it should form a three-dimensional part, like so. So let's just make sure those little triangles are going to actually help us stick this together. So essentially we just need to apply to those little triangles a tiny little dab of glue. And then once again, this is going to be one of those where we let the glue dry first and then bring it all together. So we'll let that fall apart and then bring it all together once the glue has dried. You can see some little bit of stringing which I'll get rid of. Go. Right, in the meantime, let's just complete the assembly of the rear of the machine gun, like so. And let's grab our S17. There are a couple of strips there, so you've got a couple of goes. We're just going to put it on around the outside. We could try and get it on the inside as well, but yeah, there is going too far. You could obviously actually just sort of paint that if you wanted to, but getting it on the outside is a good compromise. So I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm just going to go to one side, just in case we haven't got enough, just to one side of the structure that comes across onto the rear part of the gun. So let's just get that laid down, and then you can just pull the sticker all the way around, sticking it over the white patches, and look, there we go, makes it all the way around to there. So in fact you could, let's do that again. We're going to bring that out a little bit further. Once again, you don't see the underside, so hence why the sticker is a little shorter. So what I'm going to do, because I could use the other sticker, but I'm just going to add a little bit of glue just to help the sticker stay. So just there and there. Just use it to decorate that edge. There we go. So at the moment the glue's wet, so it's not going to do a good job of holding onto the sticker, but eventually it will. And it's doing a pretty good job, but we'll come back to that and just check it before we do the full installation. So there we go. So our edge looks a lot better now. It's got a nice sort of brown colour and texture to it that's more akin to the leather padding that would have been there in the original aircraft. Okay, so let's see how our muzzle is doing and the cooling jacket, and we can actually pop on the front part of that. That should just slide straight on. That sits on the front like so. So I've just dry fitted that at the moment. So I am going to remove it and add a little bit of glue to hold it in place. There we go. Slide that in, and then I'm just going to use the tweezers to just make sure it's in good position. So there we go. The other end, as I mentioned before, you have a spike just there, and that spike is going to go into the front end of our, bring that a little bit closer, the front end of our sort of main body of the machine gun. Now, to make sure that it does nicely and easily, I'm just going to pop a little channel using the knife, and that should allow it to be placed like so. So let's just add some glue to that. Go. So that's all come together nicely, and we'll let that dry off, and then we will pop on our other bits and pieces. So put that to one side. We can fold this one up while we wait, and then probably give that a good sort of 10-15 minutes to dry off, and then we can start assembling it onto the aircraft. Yeah, so that's how that comes together, like so. So those are the parts that we're going to be fitting next. I went away and got myself a nice cup of tea, which I've nearly finished, in my aviation mug, which I always enjoy drinking from. Anyway, our glue is dried, hopefully. We just need to add our little bits. So the simple part, the spike goes downwards. Where's the spike? Oh, there isn't a spike. So I would say it would go in that way around, like so. See, so it goes into that slot that's available on the side there. So we'll just pop a little bit of glue on that. Super nose just about to come off. Have I cross-threaded? So just a tiny bit. Pop that into the slot like so. Just get it straight. There we go. You should get quite a substantial amount of the part in there, like so. And on this side there are two little slots there. Now there are corresponding sort of tags here on the side of this part, so they should just sit into those. They shouldn't go any further than the plastic. It shouldn't go into the foam, so they should just click into there. So that's clicked in, but obviously I'm going to secure that even further with just a little dab of glue on each of those tabs. And maybe a bit down onto where it comes into contact with the body of the machine gun. You might have to squeeze the sides together a bit just to get that to click in. Isn't it? Goes in fine on the dry fit. Put a little glue on and it all goes to rack and ruin. Now there we go. That's in place. So we've got our belts in place like so, and then once those are dry we can pop them onto the fuselage. So fitting time. Now you'll notice on your fuselage you have a couple of slots there and there, and then you have a couple of scores there and there. Now those little scores obviously take the ends of the ammunition belt, and you just need to put your knife through those. These slots are already all the way through, and they take the little tabs at the bottom of the machine gun just there. So you can dry fit if you like. Oh, one thing that you can do is the point on there you can actually turn down like so it's pointing straight down, make it easier to get into the available slot. So there we go, everything in place. That went nice and easy. So that's sitting exactly where it should be. All it requires now is a little dab of glue in the places that come into contact. So certainly the tabs on the main body, just there and there. Just a little dab on the end of each of the belts, and then I'm just going to put a little bit on the body just there that comes into contact with the foredeck. And then pop it back. There we go. As I said, you put glue onto it and it doesn't want to do anything. There we go. So that is now in place, as you can see. So that is really I think the final modification to the aircraft. So you can continue now and build the rest of the aircraft using the online manual. If I do think of anything else, I'll come back and provide some guidance. But I think for now, that's it. We can get on with the build and get it finished and in the air. Thank you for watching.